What's up, guys? It's Jeb, and the NBA season is right around the corner. We are 2 weeks away from opening day, which means we are also 2 weeks away from NBA SoRare kicking off. Now, during the offseason, we highlighted 4 different teams in 4 unique situations and picked out a couple players that we thought had a lot of value and could contribute to your SoRare season. And if you haven't watched those videos, I highly recommend you go check them out. There will be a link for the playlist in the description below. However, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen some blockbuster trades that have completely changed the composition of several NBA teams. So with this being my last SoRare video before the NBA season starts, I thought instead of looking at a specific team, we go ahead and highlight 10 different players that I think are worth talking about. And for number one, we're actually going to take a bit of a different approach here, and we're going to talk about a player that I think you should fade in NBA SoRare, and that is Jrue Holiday. Now, in my opinion, Jrue Holiday has been one of the most underrated NBA players for his entire career. And I do think the Celtics drastically improved their chances at getting a ring by picking up Jrue Holiday and adding that defense and offense that he brings. However, on this new team, I think Jrue Holiday's focus will be a lot more on defense rather than offense, as he'll be maybe the fourth option or fifth option when he's on the court at most times. Between Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis, that is just a lot of usage that is already taken up. Jrue Holiday will definitely get some open shots. He'll put up some threes. He'll get a rebound or two. But I think a lot of Jrue Holiday's contributions to the Celtics this year will unfortunately be stuff that doesn't necessarily appear in the box score. I do think Jrue Holiday will have a great year, and I think he'll be a Defensive Player of the Year finalist. However, I don't think he'll be a great play for SoRare, and I think him joining the Celtics has drastically lowered that ceiling that he can hit. I do think there's a world where Jrue Holiday has a few 50 or 60 point SoRare weeks still. However, I'm not trying to guess when those are going to happen, and I'd much rather get a player that has a lot higher usage on both ends of the court that put up SoRare points as opposed to helping the team win. So yeah, I think Jrue Holiday is unfortunately a player that I will be fading this year. Now, the next player is a player that I was pretty excited about before he was traded, and I am much more excited now that he has been traded, and that is DeAndre Aiden. This season, DeAndre Aiden's SoRare ceiling will no longer be held back by the massive usage that KD, Booker, and Beal command. And on top of that, he is getting a fresh start on a team with plenty of young players where he'll be able to push himself and feel like he is one of the leaders of the team. I have high expectations for Aiden to put up some pretty solid and consistent SoRare scores this season. Now, the next player is someone that Mike Zakarian from Team Hold has been banging the drum on for a while, and that is Mark Williams. Now, Mark Williams was a player that I thought going into the season would have a massive usage increase and a lot of opportunity to put up some great scores. However, recent developments have revealed that Kai Jones will almost certainly not be on the Hornets this season, which takes away from their already kind of scarce depth at the center position. I think Mark Williams is probably going to be starting, and if not, he will be getting, 20, 30 minutes pretty consistently, be getting a lot of usage, and be given an opportunity to really show off his abilities and possibly gain the trust of the Hornets coaching staff. For a player that had a pretty incredible rookie year, all things considered, I think Mark Williams is in an ideal position going into his second year. Now, the next player is a player that won Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, had an incredible sophomore slump last year, and has a lot of people kind of feeling a little down on his abilities. But he's a player that I think will bounce back and have an incredible year this year, and that is Scotty Barnes. Now, the Toronto Raptors are a bit of a mess going into the season, and that is a whole other story that we won't be getting into in this video. However, I think Scotty Barnes is an ideal situation to bounce back from his very forgettable sophomore year. The Raptors are bringing in a new coach, and it sounds like Scotty Barnes will almost be playing a sort of point guard and will be handling the ball quite a bit. To some degree, I feel like the success or failure of the team kind of sits on the shoulders of Scotty Barnes. And based on what I saw his rookie year and just the natural talent and abilities he has, I'm going to bet on Scotty Barnes, and I'm going to take the over. The next player we're going to touch on is Tari Eason. If you didn't know, Tari Eason is a forward for the Houston Rockets, who in his rookie year last year really showed some flashes of greatness and potential, And I think under Ime Udoka and with this new Rockets team, he will be given that confidence to hopefully take things to the next level, maybe get some more consistent playing time, get some additional usage. I think there's a lot of opportunity here for Tari Eason. On top of that, it's a long season and the Rockets aren't going to be making a playoff push. So there will be plenty of time, especially in the second half of the season after the All-Star break, for Tari Eason to get some real run on the court and be putting up some really solid SoRare scores. The next guy on my list is Keegan Murray. Now, a bunch of teams in the West got a little bit better or a lot better, and the Kings did not really make any moves to try and keep up with the rest of their competition. If the Kings are hoping to continue what they did last year and continue to shock the non-believers, I think a lot of it hinges on Keegan Murray and his ability to take that next jump. Keegan Murray performed not only in the regular season last year, but also in the playoffs. I personally believe that Keegan Murray will have a great year this season, and that will translate very well to SoRare. While I don't think it'll be a necessity to own his card in order to do well in SoRare, I think he will be a great piece that can really fit into some great lineups. The next player I want to talk about seemingly came out of nowhere and became a legitimate threat to steal Rookie of the Year from Paolo last year, and that is Jaylen Williams. Now, Jaylen Williams is incredibly talented, and I think he will have a great season this year. On top of that, I think OKC will be making the playoffs this year, and while I don't think they can win the finals, I do think they will be a tough out and might even surprise a couple teams and get a little further than people think. However, OKC is a deep team with a lot of mouths to feed and a lot of usage that is constantly getting grabbed up by every other player on the court along with Jaylen Williams. For those reasons, I'm not rushing out to add Jaylen Williams to my SoRare squad. However, I'll be keeping an eye on him, and I do plan to get his card at some point because I think there's a real chance that post All-Star break, Jaylen Williams will really kick it into another gear. All right, we got three more players that I want to talk about, and the next one is Jaylen Green. Now, Jaylen Green put up some solid SoRare scores last year, and I think between the fact of adding Ime Udoka, Fred VanVleet, and even Dylan Brooks, as well as losing Kevin Porter Jr. and, just another year under his belt, I think Jaylen Green is really set to take it to another level this year. Now, I don't necessarily think Jaylen Green is suddenly going to be an MVP in your SoRare lineup, but I do think he's a player that people will highly underestimate, at least going into this season, and there will be some times where he has some really crazy ceiling games. I think it's possible we see Jaylen Green have quite a few noticeable performances on the court this year, and I think his game translates to SoRare extremely well. Once again, he's not a player that I'm going out and grabbing immediately because I'd like to see what the Rockets look like with their new players, their new system, and all that. But I think Jaylen Green is a player that I will 100% have once we're a couple months into the season. The last two players I want to talk about, we're actually going to talk about together, and that is Marcus Smart and Desmond Bane. Ja Morant will be missing 25 games, which means Desmond Bane is going to be the #1 option on the team. So at least in the early start of the season, I think Desmond Bane will be an incredible SoRare play. On top of that, by the time Ja does come back to the team, I think we'll have a pretty good idea of what Bane's season will look like. And you can use those first 20 or so games to determine if you want to sell your Bane card or go ahead and keep him to play him throughout the season. As for Marcus Smart, I think he might be one of the biggest pickups by a team this season that no one is talking about. I've never been a huge Marcus Smart fan, but I have a lot of respect for what he's about to bring to this Memphis Grizzlies team, and I think it's exactly what they need to take this team to the next level and be a serious contender. Now, Smart does do a lot of things that don't necessarily make the box score, but I think in this position, especially those first 25 games, he will be doing a lot of things that appear on the box score and therefore boost his SoRare scores. And unlike Bane, who I think will take a little bit of a step back in usage when Ja comes back, I think Smart's role will be pretty consistent throughout the season. So what you get at the beginning of the season, you can count on to get throughout the season. And just like that, we've taken a closer look at 10 key players this NBA season. If you made it this far, thank you guys so much for watching. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next video. Please clap.